Hey, what's up, y'all? So I just wanted to stop by again and give you tips on what to do when it's time to end your lease. Now, some folks don't understand that when it's time to end your lease, you have to give a 60-day notice. This is basically a notice to let your property know that you won't be renewing your lease and that you will be vacating the apartment at the end of your lease. Now, some folks may ask, well, why is that important? Well, this property is running a business and they do have to lease these apartments. And it's not fair to the property, to let them know at the last minute that a week before your lease is up, that you won't be renewing your lease when they could have leased your apartment months ago. So you always have to make sure that when it's time to end your lease, you have 60 days to let the apartment know before your lease is up that you don't want to renew. So it's very important. Make sure you know the lease terms. And of course, there's different forms of it. Two basic forms is, of course, you send an email. You want it documented. You want something published electronically to let them know that you won't be renewing your lease. You won't be renewing your lease, sorry. And also in writing. Get it in writing in black and white that you won't be renewing your lease and that you will be vacating the apartment at the end of your lease. So that's very important as well. Also, another thing, when you submit this notice to vacate, make sure to get a confirmation, whether it's via email, having them maybe leave a voicemail on your phone, something just showing that they have received your notice and that it was a proper notice, which is, of course, something in written form, saying that you wanted to leave the apartment 60 days prior. Now, some properties, they actually penalize you for not giving a notice within that 60-day range. Sometimes it's another month penalty. Sometimes it's just a couple $100. Some properties actually look the other way. It's a case by case, but typically there is a penalty, so keep that in mind as well. Another thing is, so of course, at the end of your lease, of course, last day of your lease, a few things to expect. Of course, clean the apartment. Make sure it is clean. Try to clean it as much as possible because there is a trash out fee. So if they have to trash out your balcony or your bedroom, kitchen, they will charge you. So keep that in mind. Take photos after you clean everything, because of course you want to have proof of what the apartment looked like when you moved out. That way there aren't any surprise charges, when they send you a bill. Of course, when you return your keys as well, of course you got to return your keys. Make sure you return all the keys that was given to you. If you were given 4 keys, 2 mailbox, 2 front doors, make sure to return all 4 because some properties will charge you for the keys. That's another thing. And the last thing, very important, make sure to give a forwarding address. That's very important. So if they have to send you a check, of course, if you paid a deposit, if they look at the apartment, see that the apartment was in good condition, no damages, and you are entitled to your deposit back, they would have to send it somewhere. Because typically they will have to send you a hard copy. They won't send you anything direct deposit. So keep that in mind as well. So yeah, those just a few things. The 60-day notice is very important. And also, another thing to keep in mind as well, if you're wondering, well, what if I break my lease? What if I decide to give a notice to vacate prior to the lease being up? Now, you still are entitled to paying 2 months rent. You're still breaking the lease. The only thing is it's typically the same thing. Give them a forwarding address, let them know in black and white that that you won't be renewing, that you needed to leave, and they can potentially, of course, end the lease and without penalties. Sometimes if you're breaking it prior, it's usually just a 2 months rent. It's never 3 times the rent if you're breaking it before the lease is up. But yeah, it's usually the same terms if you decide to break the lease prior to it being up. So you always have that option, and it's a good option. Some folks think, well, that's a lot of money, but it's good. If you just have to leave for any reason, Maybe you had a family emergency back home and you just had to leave. You know, you had to take care of something for work, you had to relocate, and you just suddenly have to move. It's good to have that option. So the 60-day notice is not a bad thing. It's actually pretty beneficial. It's efficient, and it gives you some leeway, you know, in case of emergency. So just a few things to be mindful of when it's time to put in a notice, and the importance of a notice. But yeah, if you thought this video was helpful, comment below. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching and have a good night.